Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss what should be your strategy for current affairs in prelims 2022. This video is divided roughly in 4 parts. First is importance of current affairs. Second is what should be the sources for current affairs. Third is how to read current affairs. And fourth is how to revise. Now how to read is the most important part, because current affairs books are very bulky and we'll see it in the slides how to read this. First part is importance of current affairs. Prelims syllabus mentions the current affairs as current events of national and international importance. This is a very broad mention, and if you see 2021's paper, then there were questions on awards and sports. Although there were outliers and you shouldn't be worrying about those things, it shows that UPSC asks questions from diverse points. Every year there are 10-20 questions directly from current affairs. For example, this year there was a question on Hyderabad forests, etc. Then there was question on Dholavira and Harappan sites. Then there are indirect influences in many other questions. Say some event happens in a wildlife sanctuary. UPSC might not directly ask about that event, but they might ask about the wildlife sanctuary. What are the other birds in the wildlife sanctuary, and what are the adjoining wildlife sanctuaries to that wildlife sanctuary. And one of the common misconception about current affairs is that it helps only in one attempt, but that is not true. Once you read the current affairs, it keeps building up in your knowledge and it helps in your next attempts as well. Because if you see, UPSC has been asking questions from past 3 to 4 years of current affairs. Of course, we should not read that much current affairs. We should just focus on 1 year. But if you read them this year, then unfortunately, if you had to give next year's attempt, then they might help you in that also. And there are many things like international relations and technology, for which we do not have a definite source. And for that, current affairs is mandatory. The next is what are the sources of current affairs. So first source is newspaper, very important. Every day 45 minutes to 1 hour should be focused on newspaper. Second source is 12 months magazines of any coaching institute. Now this is very important because while newspaper gives us the basic understanding, these magazines cover those issues holistically and in depth. For example, if there is Afghanistan issue going on, then current affairs magazines will include the history of how the Afghan conquest was done. Alternatively, we can read yearly compilations like PT 365 because they are the same thing and we should select either one of them. Third source is economic survey and budget summaries. Now these two are very important even for mains, but even for prelims, because they give data and they give important economic concepts. For example, there might be a statement that India's external trade is highest with Bangladesh in South Asia, then Nepal. And UPSC might give a statement that actually UPSC gave a statement last year that India's trade is highest with Nepal in South Asia, which is not true. These type of questions can be solved from economic survey and budget summary. Next two sources are schemes and reports and indices. These two booklets of IAS Parliament, they are also very important because UPSC asks simple reports like of ILO and World Bank and IMF, and those many candidates miss those reports because they haven't studied any source for these. The next two are not exactly sources, but if for economy, if you are reading Mrunal Sir's booklet, then that might help in current affairs also, because Mrunal Sir covers those current affairs. But of course, if you are reading some other source, then this source is not mandatory. And the last is monthly quizzes. Now you should not over stress about them, but if you have time and if you like to solve questions, then these tests or monthly quizzes from various websites can be very beneficial because they not only cover current affairs but the issue behind them. So if there is a current affairs scheme going on, then they might cover the ministry, the question about ministry and question about various departments that are implementing these schemes. The next, and this is the most important part of this presentation, is how to read current affairs. because in every current affairs magazine there would be hundreds of pages like this, and for first aspirants that might be a difficult thing to cover. So I'll teach you a technique which my friend had taught me, and it's very beneficial. So first thing we need to do is we need to go strictly from exam point of view and understand if UPSC is giving us question, how we can tackle that question. So for example, if we start, recently the Ministry of Home Affairs tightened oversight on fund receipts. Now the UPSC might ask in statement that it was Ministry of Finance that did it, but it's MHA, so we should circle this. Then funds raised by NGOs. Then NGOs and their importance. NGO is defined by World Bank as non-profit. This is not important for prelims. These organizations are not a part of government but have legal status and are registered as trust society or private limited non-profit company. Now this is important. They have a legal status and they are registered. UPSC might say that they are unregistered body in the question, or they don't have any legal status in India in the question. So the questions can be framed on these topics. Then constitutional provisions, yes, they are also important. Yes, concurrent list is important. UPSC might say they are in the state list, but no, they are in the concurrent list. Then provisions regarding regulation. Foreign Exchange Management Act, there are certain NGOs that are registered under FEMA and continue to disburse foreign funds to various associations in India. UPSC might ask, there are no NGOs which are registered with FEMA. Now here question can be formed. Next is FEMA is regulated by Ministry of Finance. UPSC might say FEMA is regulated by Ministry of Commerce. So this is an important point. Consider amend new law relating to foreign exchange. However, separate law of CRA has been enacted under Ministry of Home Affairs. Again, UPSC can change the ministry. So now you observe, I've circled all the important parts of this page. And when next time you come to see this page, you just need to revise these circled parts. And if you do this for all the booklet, all 100 pages once, then you can very easily revise these current affairs booklets in 1 or 2 hours. So this is the strategy, and make sure you follow it. And the last part is about revision. So we have already studied how we can study these current affairs magazine. For revision, before current affairs magazine there is an index. Go to that index. There's in index they have mentioned say SCO, and they have also mentioned regulation of NGOs. Then don't look at this booklet, just look at current affairs and try to recall what are the facts that you have circled. For example, in regulation, I can recall that I've circled ministries, I've circled that NGOs are registered, and then look at it. If you miss any part, then just read it and try to keep it in your mind. Then another part of revision is through test series. Say there is a question in test series about regulation of NGOs, and in many cases you might do it wrong because that is our natural tendency. We cannot just read and recall stuff in one go. We'll do that wrong. Then we come back to this, we check our answer, and then we'll be able to effectively remember those questions. And again, the last thing is, no need to make notes of current affairs, especially for prelims, because they are very diverse, and notes making will take up a lot of your time and it will not be efficient. So this is it, guys. If you have any questions, then you can ask in comments. Thank you.